Well, if you like penalty kick shootout, tonight is the night for you because both of these games went to a penalty kick shootout. Both of them end in a 1-1 draw after regulation. And both of these games, I thought the style of play looked very similar, where one team seems to just park the bus for a majority of the game, while the other were trying very hard to unlock the key to that bus and drive that parking bus away so that they can, of course, get a goal. Now, in the first game between the Columbus Crew and Minnesota, was Minnesota winning on the penalty kick shootout by winning 5-3 in that. And before the game, they of course announced that Molino was going to be on the bench for the Loons, although I kind of also mentioned back in the preview that Molino was going to be ready to play in this game. Now, what I was very surprised about this game is that Adrian Heath decided not to sub him on throughout this game. And I think in the second half, and especially after we look like we need to have some attacking presence, I was screaming on the TV to say, bring Molino on. He's clearly going to be a good attacking option that can, of course, get us the goals. And it just seemed like Adrian Heath didn't hear me whatsoever, and that he just decided not to go with Molino, but instead bring on a couple more defensive option and also a couple of other attacking option that is not named Molino. Now, in the first half, 18 minutes in the game, the Loons would take the lead after Robin Lur was able to score from Jose Aja. There was definitely questionable defending from Columbus on the corner, and you could also say the inability of them able to clear the ball away after that ball was kind of like flick in the air a couple of times from the corner is the reason why they conceded that goal, and eventually Lurd was able to get to that ball and hits the volley in the back post. And the Loons, of course, have a 1-0 lead at that point. But then 2 minutes later, Columbus almost got the equalizer as Zardes went through on goal, but unfortunately he didn't put a very strong shot, and it was a very easy save from Tyler Miller. And that I also thought the Loons backline looked very solid so far throughout this game. I mean, Columbus, throughout this game, they definitely did not look like an attack that we saw in the group stage, which was a very, very stingy attack, and an attack that a lot of people say that it's one that you should be very concerned about. And that I guess maybe the reason that is the case might be due to the fact that the Loons did a very good job in terms of the back line in tonight's game, but also a combination where I think people might have underestimated that Columbus attack might actually not be as good as some people might think after seeing this game. Now, in the second half, Columbus still had some tough time in terms of breaking down this Loons defense, and at this point, I thought the Loons started to really park the bus and just almost like they were playing for a 1-0 win. Métanire came off with what looked like was a calf injury, which let's hope he, of course, is okay, because Romain Métanire is one of our biggest is player going forward on, or one of the most key player going forward on the attack, and we definitely cannot afford to lose him. But again, the Loons, it looked like they was just bunkering and see out this 1-0 resort. And although we have looked comfortable in terms of defending this 1-0 lead, and Columbus haven't really looked very threatened going forward, I was also getting a little bit nervous. The fact that, if there is one mistake that the Loons are going to make, Columbus is going to take advantage of it. And that mistake literally happened 5 minutes after I even tweeted out on my Twitter page that, one mistake we have and Columbus is going to equalize. And that mistake happened in the 78th minute when Jose Aja basically brought down Zardes in the box. Have no idea why in the world did Aja decided to do that. I mean, he had a great game up until this point where he just needless to bring down Zardes right near the edge of the box and right near the end line. And that of course gave Columbus a chance to get the equalizer, which they were able to take it, although Zardes originally missed the penalty after Miller was able to make a good save, but unfortunately just bounced right back to Zardes, and Zardes easily tapped into the empty net. And it's 1-1 up until that point. Now, in the third minute of stoppage time, Tyler Miller came up big after he denied Zeller Rion, who had a good look in front of goal. And with the time runs out, that means we go into a penalty kick shootout. And the penalty kick shootout, it was Chase Gasper with the winning penalty in the penalty kick shootout after a couple of rounds before. Katia actually is the only player to miss the penalty in this shootout for Columbus, and that turns out to be the difference in this PK shootout. As the Loons, they went 5 for 5 in terms of their PK shootout, and they're now moving on into the next round against the San Jose Earthquakes, which means you know what's going to happen. It's the Blues Not Derby in the quarterfinal, and that, as I said before, there was no win situation in terms of what's going to happen in this game where, I don't want us to face Minnesota because I know the fact that we have not done very well against the Loons in the past couple of meetings, and especially what happened earlier this season when we just got completely destroyed by the Loons earlier this season. But at the same time, I didn't want to play Columbus because of the fact that I feel like the way that they attack and the way that they have key players to break down any defense. Our defense is already weak enough. They're going to pretty much have a field day against our defense with those difference makers. But turns out I had to pick the poison, and it seemed like the poison is going to be Minnesota, and that there's going to be a Blues Not Derby in the quarterfinal. Now, in terms of shots in this game, Columbus had 21 shots compared to 12 that Minnesota has. 6 shots on goal compared to 4 that Minnesota has. 10 shots off target compared to 6 that Minnesota has. 5 shots that was blocked compared to 2 that the Loons had. And possession-wise, 65% possession compared to 35% possession that Minnesota has. And I think the only thing I will be a little bit confident with how the Quakes are going to be playing against Minnesota is that at least, from what I saw from the Loons tonight, their attack is definitely started to stutter a little bit, and that they, in these past couple of games, I have seen how they have relied on their defense a little bit too much. And knowing the fact that the Quakes are just red hot right now on the attacking end, this is going to be a very difficult task for Minnesota in the next game to contain a Quakes team that is just scoring for fun right now, and that that next game is going to be interesting to see how things are going to go well, and that maybe you could also say that the next game could be another crazy game, because anytime when the Quakes play in this tournament, it seemed like you're going to expect a game that it's going to be end in a crazy kind of scoreline, and there's going to be some crazy things happen in those games. But moving on, in terms of the last match of tonight, is the Portland Timbers versus FC Cincinnati. As I said, it also ended in a one draw, but it was Portland able to win the penalty kick shootout as they won 3-2 in terms of that. Now, in the first half, 10 minutes into the game, Valeri actually went for goal from a tight angle free kick, and I'm not quite sure did he actually meant to win for goal in that instant, or if he was just trying to whip in a cross in. By the way, Titon has to tip it over, and that was the first real big chance of the game. I thought early in the game, Cincinnati hasn't really exactly completely parked the bus early in this game. Like, we knew coming into this game, Cincinnati was just going to park the bus and are just going to put a brick wall against this Portland Timbers attack and basically ask them to see if they, of course, can break them down. But early in this game, I saw Cincinnati started to kind of go on the attack a little bit and started to keep the ball a little bit, which kind of surprised me because I thought that was not what their main strategy was coming into this game. But eventually they kind of started to park the bus and started to put 10 guys behind the ball. And then in the 21st minute, Jimmy Chara almost gave the Timbers the opener and almost unlocked that Cincinnati backline, but Titon was able to rob him in that instant, and the game stays at 0-0 at that point. And I also wrote Operation Park the Bus for FC Cincinnati started in the 23rd minute. And then in the 41st minute, Valeri had a 26-yard free kick that unfortunately just went wide. I think it actually took a little bit of a deflection, but it wasn't very far away from that left side of the post. And we head to halftime 0-0 in this game between Cincinnati and the Portland Timbers. Now, in the second half, in the 59th minute, FC Cincinnati decided to be a little bit aggressive in terms of the substitution and decided to make a triple substitution including some attacking option, which was kind of interesting because I was thinking they were going to make some substitution mostly on the defensive end just to kind of switch up the defense and make sure they just don't run out of gas in the latter part of this game. But instead, it looked like they were going to trying to go for it and maybe search for that goal. And it looked like they did it just 2 minutes later after that triple substitution when Duplan was able to score on a set piece, but unfortunately the goal was disallowed because Duplan did go a little bit too early when that free kick was whipped into the back post. But to be fair, even though that goal was disallowed, I also kind of admired the celebration that FC Cincinnati does. I mean, the celebration was them kind of like driving on the ground right now, which kind of tells me, are they driving the bus away knowing the fact that now they don't really have to just kind of park the bus anymore, or the fact that they're going to drive the bus, another bus in front of the Portland Timbers goal because now they have a 1-0 lead. But instead, that goal, of course, was disallowed, and I guess maybe they'll just drive the bus back in front of the goal and hope to keep this a 0-0 draw. Unfortunately, that hope was dashed just 6 minutes later because Nisgoda, who just came on as a substitute a couple of minutes ago, scored from Sebastian Blanco to give FC Cincinnati, or not FC Cincinnati, but the Portland Timbers a 1-0 lead. And at that point, I thought, well, this looked like it's going to be over for FC Cincinnati. Like, unless if they're going to open themselves up, which is something that they don't want to do, I just don't see how in the world, if this is how in the world they're going to get an equalizer and potentially this go into a penalty kick shootout. Then, in the 71st minute, Jurgen Locadia was actually subbed on by FC Cincinnati, and I was kind of shocked when I first saw that was actually Jurgen Locadia coming on, because I thought he was not even part of this team heading into this tournament. Like, didn't he have that injury that he suffered that we thought that for sure he was going to be playing in this tournament? So, yeah, I was kind of surprised to see him be in this tournament, but he did make a big impact in the latter part of the game. And by the way, the latter part of this game, yeah, it went all wonky in terms of the last part of this game, because just 6 minutes after Jurgen Locadia came onto this game, Steve Clark decided to absolutely gift it a penalty to FC Cincinnati after not only he brought down Locadia in the box, but it was just a simple back pass, and I'm not quite sure, was he just trying to be a little bit too cute or something like that and trying to dribble away from Locadia, but he completely got it wrong, and that he had no choice but to bring Locadia there in the box as he was trying to dive and get the ball, now knowing the fact that he got it that cuteness all wrong. And that, of course, gifted FC Cincinnati a penalty and pretty much gifted their lifeline of getting back into this game, which Locadia, make no mistake, to put away that penalty away. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it is a 1-1 game, and it looks like we are once again going to be destined to head to the penalty kick shootout. Although, in the last 10 minutes, there was definitely some more crazy thing happen. First, Valeri hits the post after he took a wicked shot. And then Steve Clark, who I think he lost all his confidence after he commit that goalkeeping howler, almost commit another one when he fumbled a simple catch that he was very fortunate the fact that fumble actually hits off the post. And then just 1 minute later, Locadia, he was in the back post. He had a free yard sitter with an empty net. 99 out of 100 times, when you see a striker that is in that position, that's a goal. But somehow, in some way, he blasted over the bar. Like, I know Locadia obviously scored the penalty to give the lifeline for FC Cincinnati to get back into this game, but my oh word, how in the world did he not score that goal? And FC Cincinnati, I think, looking back at this, they're going to look back this moment as the moment is the reason why they did not move on into the next round. Because if Locadia, all he had to do is just simply tap that one into the empty net, they would have won this game, and this one would have never gone into a penalty kick shootout. Instead, we did go to a penalty kick shootout, and in the penalty kick shootout, it was Goda, who of course scored the opening goal of this game, was able to score the winning penalty, and Locadia and Waston unfortunately missed both of their penalty kicks. So basically, Locadia just went from hero to zero with the way that he had that horrendous miss, and also he missed one of the penalty, and that, Steve Clark, I think after this game, not only the fact that he is relieved, the fact that in the end his team still won, and that mistake that he made in the 77-minute didn't really matter in the end. But how about some redemption for Steve Clark? Like, I thought in the latter part of this game when he just completely unraveled, I was definitely not confident of him whatsoever heading into the penalty kick shootout, and especially knowing the fact that FC Cincinnati, we know their magic whenever they go into a penalty kick shootout, and no one will ever forget what happened a couple of years ago when they played against the Chicago Fire in the U.S. Open Cup and winning that one on penalties. I thought FC Cincinnati was going to do the same thing to the Portland Timbers, but fortunately for the Timbers, they were able to win it and really breathe a huge sigh of relief in a game that they almost gifted FC Cincinnati their way to the quarterfinal in this one. Now, in terms of the shots in this game, the shots was 19-12 in favor of Portland. 8 shots on goal compared to 5 that FC Cincinnati has. 6 shots off target compared to 5 that FC Cincinnati has. And possession-wise, 5 blocks compared to 2 that FC Cincinnati had. And possession-wise, 56% possession compared to 44% possession that FC Cincinnati has in this game. And with Portland winning this game, they of course will be facing against NYCFC, and there's no doubt that Portland needs to play a little bit better against NYCFC if they're going to potentially move on into the semifinal, because they can all agree that this was definitely not a good performance whatsoever, and that they absolutely got away with this game with the mistake that they made throughout the latter part of this one. But yeah, there you have it. That is pretty much it for tonight's action, which was another crazy night. But now we are going to the quarterfinal, and tomorrow I will do a preview of the quarterfinal and all those 4 games that is going to be happening there. And I will also do my prediction in terms of who exactly is going to be moving on into the semifinal. I mean, I look back at some of my prediction that I've made, and some of them have been pretty good. I mean, I know I got this prediction right. This was actually the game where I made a bold prediction saying that Minnesota was going to move on and they were going to upset Columbus, and they did exactly that. Now, I did also make a bold prediction about this one, and yeah, it was unfortunate that this one didn't really quite pay off, but to be fair, I was really close with this one too, and if only Locadia did not miss that sitter in the 87th minute, and FC Cincinnati would have had a 2-1 lead up to that point, yeah, I would have got this bold prediction right too. So yeah, at least I can be proud of the fact that at least I'm getting some of my prediction right, even though in the past I always get prediction wrong whenever I do though. So yeah, that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash that subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.